So it's finally here. The vinyl for Forest Kingdom has arrived. So I thought this would be a good time to do a little breakdown of one more track. I think this will be the last track that I fully break down. I have broken down quite a few of them on previous videos. So yeah, I'm going to break down the opener, which is a track called Ancient Maps. Got some lush textures in there, some nice pianos, some Foley, some recorded sounds. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting one to go through. And it's probably going to be the last one from this project. Not only because I've covered a load before in the past, but also because I think I've pretty much summed up the sound that I was going for on this project. So I'm working on some new music as always, and the upcoming stuff is hopefully going to be a little bit more like electronica vibes with more synths and organic synthy textures. So before I jump into the project and tell you everything that went into it, I'll be giving away one copy of the vinyl as well in this video. So all you got to do is enter, as always, drop a like, drop a comment, and I'll pick someone at random as soon as we hit just 300 likes. Also, there might be a little bit of a break soon from the weekly videos. I'm getting married in November and then I'm going on my honeymoon. So all in all, I'll be out of the studio for about a month. But anyway, now time to jump into the project file and break down the track. So this is the project file. I'll break everything down. It's been mixed, mastered. So I've got master effects on that, which I'll run through. So yeah, I'll start off with the bass drums on this one, then I'll finish off with the instrumentation bus. So start off, as always, we've got a little bit of market atmosphere for some texture. This market atmosphere is going to be in my new sample pack as well. I had a similar one in the last sample pack, but this one sounds really good. It's great for most tracks. So yeah, look out for that. So we've got market atmosphere here. Kicking it off. Bass was nice and simple, just a clean DI bass. I've got Archetype Corey Wong on there with their J bass preset. I cut the lows with some automation at some parts, but other than that, pretty standard. I've got a track spacer on there, which is ducking away for the kick. As the kick comes in, you can see the duck in there. And that's it for the bass. Kick, just again, simple one. Again, nothing fancy there, just straight up kick, no effects on there. Sometimes I'll use like a drum bus in Ableton to make it a bit more punchy, add some sub frequencies, etc. But that's only when it needs it. And this track, kick and bass combo is pretty nice. Onto the drums. So as always, we're trying to texture as much as I can. So this bit was actually some recordings on a bongo. This was said bongo, just little groove on there. I've not actually put any of these in my sample pack. I might add them in before I release it. So yeah, there's two little textures. This one was the more ambient version. So I've cut out most loads, got a bit of spaced out reverb, decapitator for some heavy saturation. Brush free is cleaning up the recording. It's not that bad, but when you've got loads of different recordings stacked up, my recordings aren't always the cleanest. I've got rain or whatever noise in the background sometimes, so it's just brush free. You can learn the noise, get rid of it, tidies the mix right up, especially when you're using it on multiple recordings. So the ambient one, and then this is the main one. And you can see it's got this sort of ducking, which is just automation filtering. Without that, it was just a bit too much. So that just made space for it in the mix. And I've grouped it all together with a bit of a high cut, some glue compressor onto the kick, again for more ducking, and just cutting out some of the resonance there. Layer that in with a nice little brush sample. Little snare. Can't actually remember where that was from, but I think it was from my last sample pack. Some more snares from my last sample pack. Some samples from the Counts drum kit. Just a simple little groove, which adds again more texture and sort of rhythm to the hi-hats. And yeah, that more or less covers it. I've got a few little extra hi-hat textures and a little tops texture that comes in. And then on the drums, I've automated it to have a little bit of delay. The way I've done that is I've turned on a filter delay on some sections. And I've automated the cut off on the filter delay, so it sort of swoops. So as the delay kicks off, you're also cutting highs, and it gives it like a nice sound. So in the context, the drums, I've just got quite a nice groove to them. We've got a little break and then the drums again kick in. But that's pretty much it for the drums. So there's a lot of different textures going on. So as you listen through, different sounds will pop out and so on. So in combination with everything I've talked about so far, so it has quite enough groove to this one. Onto the instrument bus. So just to talk about the bus for a second. I've cut the lows, everything below 100 hertz, just to keep it clean. There's a lot of muddiness in the sounds, which is why I did that. I've cut the stereo information a little bit further on. Again, muddiness, and there's a lot of information in the stereo field because of some of the recordings. So I've cut that to eliminate that problem. Again, as I often do, auto filters just help with the transitions, cutting the lows to make drops more impactful and so on. I've got the Crammer tape on there, which is giving it a little bit more compression. It's a compressor from Waves Audio. Really nice plugin. Soothe on there, again, managing some of the lows. Track spacer, this time sidechain to the bass, just to cut away again the lower frequencies for the bass, just to help that pop a little bit more. And I'm using Portal for some transitions, so as the track gets towards the drops, it goes a bit chaotic with the granular synthesis effects on Portal using the Dreamy Music Box preset. So that's the master bus. So now we'll talk about some of the pianos. So the progression on this is F minor 9 to A flat major 7 to an E flat. The 3 chords that we play throughout. I'm playing slightly different voicings of them as the track progresses, but effectively we've got 2 sections. So I've got this arpeggiated version, which starts at the beginning. And then as the track cuts out, I've got like just a straight chord version. So the main piano is, as I often use on this project, the felt grand piano from Ulfa Arnold's Composer Toolkit. On there, I had a bit of sketch cassette, giving it a little bit of tape wow and a little bit of a tape feel. And then again, managing the frequencies with an EQ, just cutting some of the lows, boosting some of the highs, give it a little bit of an area feel. So that's, I guess, the main piano. I've also got a second layer. So I just wanted to add a little bit more saturation with the sketch cassette on the highs, just to bring them out a little bit. I think I initially wanted to use Fresh Air, but in the mix, I just thought it was a little bit too sharp. So I just left it off, but I've still got 2 textures. So together, you get a little bit of a brighter feel. On to texture number 3. Texture number 3 is a completely different piano. Again, the lows are cut, but this is from the Oliver Patrice double felt piano from the Pool Project VST. Amazing VST, I talked about it a lot before. It's like $30. It's got a really nice piano. But I like the crunchiness in the top end. So again, I've got a little bit more saturation, got a low cut. This one does have Fresh Air on. So altogether, we're brightening up the piano. So on top of that, I laid in just a little top line melody, mostly playing octaves just to exaggerate it a bit. And then that's just the felt grand with a spaced out sort of ethereal reverb. Just gives it a little bit of a shimmer, but like a subtle shimmer. And finally, I've got this additional layer, which is more for transitions, which is using Portal with the sleep cycle preset, everything on full just to give it the mad sort of delay, granular synth effect. Make sure to cut the lows because it'll get super muddy otherwise. So then all together, you've got this as the pianos. Nice and airy, and it works nice for transitions. Some little vocal chops from the Alex Lenz Spitfire VST. Interactive album Soul Runner patch. It's got some nice vocal chops in there. Again, it's pretty simple, just cutting out lows and highs, bit of reverb, sketchy set for a bit of a tape wobble and saturation, radiator for more saturation. I'm using Portal on there with the Dreamy Music Box just to give it a little bit of a granular synth delay. Next up is a little bit more of a vocal group from the Think Signatures VST, which I made a video dedicated to a little while ago. It's mostly acoustic guitars, but it's got some nice vocals in there. I freezed and flattened all of these just to sort of reduce CPU usage, and the VST was glitching out for me a bit, so I just flattened it. So you can hear a bit of saturation, distortion on the vocals there, but it's just a nice breathy vocal that helps give the track texture. A little lap steel. Some filtering on there just to sweep it in. I do add auto pan as the track sort of kicks in a bit more, moving it left to right. Make sure to cut the lows to keep it clean. Trumpet, which I'll talk about in a second. this little group, which is some synthy sounds from the Stratus. Is it Stratus? Yeah, Oliver Arnold's Stratus patches, a couple of different patches laid onto each other, grouped together so I can cut the lows, give a bit of portal and reverb, etc. And then we've got the guitars basically. So little guitar lead in the introduction. I'm trying to keep it simple. My usual guitar chain just with some spaced out reverb on the end, I think. Yeah. Giving it that nice shimmery reverb. And then the other guitar textures that play through the track. Again, nothing crazy, usual guitar chain with some shimmer. And then finally the trumpet. So initially a family friend of mine recorded some lines that I'd sent him from guitar onto trumpet. I also patched a few little gaps in the track later on with a trumpet player on Fiverr. So yeah, be sure to, if you're going to do stuff like this, it's great to have some reference. If you can record piano or guitar, just to give them an idea of what you want, to try and communicate that always helps. Make sure that you know the rights. Often, for example, on Fiverr, if you buy a sort of session player, they might not necessarily give you the rights to use the track commercially in your song. So make sure you've talked about that and included it as well. But yeah, so trumpet was patched together with different takes, and on the trumpets I've got a sort of reverb ambient heavy patch. So I've got fresh air, brightening it up, some reverb, spaced out, and convolution from Ableton. And then I've got some autoband that kicks in again later on in the track. Portal on there for some granular synth again as well. That's the default choppy patch. And then the main lead, similar effects, spaced out, radiator, soothed just to tame some of it. And that is pretty much it. So if you hear everything in context, I had sends that were some different portal variations that are adding a little bit of texture to different instruments. And the master bus that I was using at the time, I've got this is my stock one. I've already sort of done a lot of filtering in the track, so I didn't really change this. It's not doing a great deal. Cut some of the lows out, cut some of the stereo information. I could probably push this further without any impact really, but didn't use that so much. Soothe on there, as always, just tames some of the lower frequencies that were bugging me. Little Gullfoss. These are settings I used. It was a little bit too bright, so it knocked that down, and a bit of taming on there. Exciter, gentle high end. A little bit of saturation, excitement to the top end. Some chroma tape compression, as well as 2 Ableton compressors on there. Finished it off with a maximizer from Ozone just to push it to around minus 14 LUFS, or slightly higher, which is what I'm trying to go for at the moment, minus 30, minus 12, that ballpark. So yeah, that was the track. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of this one. What's your favorite track of the album? Yeah, be sure to enter the competition if you want to win one of the vinyls, which I'll ship anywhere. And also let me know if there's anything you want to see. There's going to be more of the beat making series with friends in the future with some interesting artists. I'm waiting on the sample pack release date, which I will let you know as soon as I have it. Still waiting on some different things to line up for that. But yeah, overall, thank you for watching and catch you next time.